At Vibra Finance, we seek out the hidden gems in cryptocurrency. We will tailor your portfolio to work for you. Are you ready to transition your investments from traditional markets to cryptocurrency? Are your coins staked and earning interest? Are you overwhelmed with all the jargon in crypto? Is your portfolio underperforming and you want to reposition into consistent winning blue chip coins and viable projects? Do you feel like you missed out on DeFi, Metaverse, and NFTs? Here at Vibra Finance, we provide you with the data, skills, and tools you need to stay on top of the digital asset market. Vibra Finance. We are the future of crypto.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Vibra Live. Today, we had to switch it up a little bit, have a special guest on here, someone that's been diving into the PDI Atropa ecosystem, diving into our BFF Maria, introduced me to BTC Mobic. They have a crazy community building, super interesting project. So he seems to always have something, a project or some liquidity news or something with PDI. What's up, Steven? How's it going, my man?
What's up, Adam? Good to see you, man. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, bro. It's we talk a lot in Telegram. We kind of just send stuff back and forth that we're looking at. So anything lately in the last month or so that's caught your eye with PDI, Atropa, Maria, any of the above?
Pretty much the whole ecosystem, man. I'm not going to lie. I think it's been awesome just really digging in deep and trying to understand the way that the different ratios work. I'm not going to sit here and say that I fully understand them yet, but I've been really trying to pay attention to specific portions of the Atropa ecosystem so I can understand how it works on a larger scale, but also just to see how that ecosystem is really moving. PDI on the US dollar value broke all-time high. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of hype. Like the videos are getting thousands of views. Somi's starting to talk about it. The Crypto Kings are back on PDI. So there's a lot of excitement around these kinds of movements. And probably for me, the most exciting thing is that they're breaking all-time highs without Pulsechain breaking all-time highs. So with this huge inflow of liquidity that came, we were able to actually push past these all-time highs. And I think also Atropa is going to break its all-time high within the next month or so. So it's really a massive validation of the ecosystem, and to see it continuously be built upon and to see the consciousness of the people who really want to lift this up. And it's not just about, I'm going to get in and take money out. It's really about building this new financial system. I mean, that's something that Maria referred to it as a financial system. So it's unfolding right before our eyes, and to see it do the things that I was really hoping it's very awesome, because you sometimes you doubt yourself, am I talking about the right things? But to actually see it be validated, it's awesome, man. And there's so many tokens to look into. Things like, for example, one that somebody linked into Sunny's Pub today, it did like a 20x overnight. Like things can just move so quick because of the liquidity is so small. And then you mentioned BFF, like there's some dudes who've been holding that token for months, and then it's gone and done like 300 to 500x from their position. So I'm so happy for these guys, and these guys are like the builders of the chain. They're not looking at it like, oh, let's just dump. It's gotten to the target. We've worked together to get to the 8,000 target, and now we're going to start to provide liquidity there to create a new floor. So it's just amazing, man. It's amazing to be a part of. I feel really blessed to even know it and to be talking about it. People seem to be loving it. So yeah, there's so many exciting things, man.
Dude, that's cool, because I definitely feel you with when you start doing the research yourself and you start going down these rabbit holes and you start making conclusions and light bulbs start going off. You start really thinking to yourself, okay, I'm starting to understand what's going on here. And then, you start telling other people, but then the chart doesn't reflect it. Right? It just keeps dipping. And then you start to second guess yourself. And I felt the same way, because the stuff, I don't know if it's just the coins that I'm researching, the stuff that has utility. It's hard to find stuff about them, but it feels good when something you've been putting a lot of work and effort into starts to pay off, starts to validate all your effort and your research that you put in. And it's exciting, man, because crypto's never easy. You know, people just think, oh yeah, you know, you're gonna get this tip that you got to go over and just buy Steven coin over there and just put $50 into it and just hold it, and that's it. It's like the emotional roller coaster that comes with getting into a coin early. Every single red candle, you're thinking, oh God, do I sell now and just lock in my profits? Is it going to go to zero? And then you do sell and it goes the other way. So you just sold out of your entire bag and all the remaining X's. So holding a bag that's pumping, that's at a small market cap, it's so hard too. So crypto is never easy. And when you can find a way to somehow make it easier for yourself, whether it's just holding and being very, very patient and not just going with your irrational instincts. Oh, buy now. I need to buy more. The coin's pumping. No, that's when you need to be selling and doing the opposite. So training yourself to do that. You know, it's just unfortunately just, I think, making those mistakes or watching people around you make those mistakes and learning from them.
100%. Yeah, it's really a battle between you and yourself. The whole thing. It's like the winners are the ones with the right kind of mindset, because it actually isn't easy at all. I mean, if it was so easy, then everybody in crypto would be millionaires, literally everybody. But it's only a small percentage of people that actually truly make it, because it's really a battle between you and your mind. Can you buy at the right times and continue to hold through absolute trash price performance? And can you sell at the right times? It's like two different skill sets and two different mindsets and emotional energies that you have to really overcome. So it is good to see the validation of what we've been talking about come to fruition. Especially, I mean, you get doubt from friends and family and people who like, you know, they think that they're doing right by you and telling you like, oh, crypto is going to go to zero. It's just this gigantic Ponzi. And I'm just like, bro, the whole stock market is a gigantic Ponzi. What are you talking about? So it's just
right?
Like this faster and you can make more money quicker.
That's so true, man. It's so true. And that these things, they happen like underneath your nose or without the herd understanding the narrative right now. Like in 2020, 4 years ago, when DeFi summer happened, nobody knew what Uniswap was in January of 2020. It took months. It took Richard Hart and Hex to basically create DeFi summer of 2020. And when it was happening, you didn't really know it until you look back and you say, oh, that's what it was. And now it's like, do you think Richard might have the ability to create DeFi summer 2.0 with Pulsechain and, you know, I don't want to say PDI. There's speculation that he could be tied to it, but there's so much unknown. But it feels like where there's smoke, there's fire, and we're just setting up to just go to places people never could have thought or dreamed of.
I mean, even with PDI, I still like the fact that, you know, there was that 99 Capital tweet, and I did a video the other day on that. Somi did a video on that as well, and really providing evidence that it could be Richard Hart. And again, for me, it's like whether it's Richard Hart or not, if it is Richard Hart, yes, it's going to give the wider market, Pulsechain market, the maxis conviction, because they really only trust anything that Richard Hart is in, and so they should. But even if it's not Richard Hart, even if there's this like, could it be, might it be, that's still enough to keep carrying it forward to, I mean, it's broken its all-time highs, and it can keep carrying it forward to what could be the peg. So I did a stream with Zach as well the other day, and he was talking about Atropa being the backing for PDI, and by the time PDI gets to $1, then Maria was saying Atropa should have about $4 billion of value that is actually backing PDI. So it's really something when you hear this type of evidence and the kind of maths behind it. And again, I don't know the specific maths, but just in my mind, it just makes intuitive sense. And you also mentioned like that there's all these like pools that are connected to it and around it that are feeding into it. And these are the things that are carrying it forward. So these are the things when you mentioned DeFi Summer 2.0, I really do feel like this whole ecosystem is generating that. There's things happening in this ecosystem that aren't, I don't see it really happening anywhere else. I don't see it happening on Cardano. I don't even see it happening on really Ethereum or just anything Solana. I don't see it happening at the scale that it's happening with on Pulsechain. And that's very, very positive considering how young we are. And if it is right, and if it does keep growing, it's only just going to get better. We're literally at the start. And you say that and you're like, oh, are we at the start? And you don't want to like say the wrong thing to get people to buy tops. But I genuinely, with conviction, feel like we still very much are in the starting phase of this whole, like the bull market really hasn't truly started. The halving's still a few months away. So we really are at the start.
Yep.
Hmm.
And another thing too is the BitBoy thing, him coming into the community. And at first I was like, you know what? We don't need him. Like, he's just a train wreck in his real life with his family, all his relationships with his ex-business partners. I mean, everybody, it seems like there's been a disaster with him. So I was like, you know what? He does it need to be here. Rah, rah, rah. But then after thinking about it for a couple days and facing reality, I thought, you know what? He's desperate right now. He needs the fame. He needs the attention. He was the man last cycle. He was flying around, chasing down SBF, getting all the attention. And then he went to nothing. And he tried coming back, I think, into Solana. I mean, there was a list of coins that he was trying to shill over the last couple months, and it's clearly not working. So I think he knew all along, Pulsechain's my last resort. Richard Heart's my last resort. If I go there, like it's the narrative that I can hold on to that can't defeat me. And that makes me so bullish seeing him recognize that and come to our community out of desperation, because it's the one that he knows is going to be here. And I wonder if it has something to do with him knowing something about Richard or hanging out with him personally. You know, who knows what they talked about? They went to dinner to a Hawks game, I think. So who knows? Maybe Richard could have said something that he said, oh, damn, Richard is the GOAT. I don't know, but it's just interesting to see that he's here. I think it will be a net good thing.
Absolutely, man. I did a video a while ago about why I think Pulsechain is going to be one of the number one blockchains, if not the number one blockchains. And I kind of outlined all this, what I perceive to be the ingredients that requires it to be the number one blockchain. And one of those is the influences that are behind it. HEX did phenomenally without any major influences behind it. It was so controversial. It was a Ponzi. It was a scam, all this kind of crap. And that all those people were proven wrong, and they've still held on to their opinion. But with Pulsechain, thanks to the efforts of people like Funding Jim and the community actually going out and engaging with these people. I remember seeing Funding Jim actually went to go meet Altcoin, like they were at a convention, and he's met Altcoin Daily. He's probably had conversations with them and really softened their hearts to, okay, you guys might need to really reconsider your position, because we only know as much as we've actually learned. So if I've only just learned from other people like, oh, HEX is a scam, then that's what I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm going to believe. I'm not going to believe anything else that's not in my mind. And so these guys have actually gone out, spoken with these people, told them about Pulsechain, and you can already see the sentiment shifts with some of these bigger influencers who are more neutral towards Pulsechain than they were towards HEX. So now we have Donovan Jolly, DIY Investing, coming into the Pulsechain community. BitBoy has come into the Pulsechain community, and it's going to keep expanding with results. Ivan on Tech has come into the Pulsechain community. I mean, these are some big names. Ivan on Tech has like 500,000 followers, but he's still skeptical. He's still on the fence. He still doesn't fully understand what's going on. He did a stream with Crypto7 and Hex Tangent, and you can see he doesn't really fully know what's going on, and he still needs that evidence, and the results are going to be the evidence. Results speak louder than anything. So all these big influencers, once the results start to come, the microphone that goes out into social media is just huge. It's huge. So the future is really just so bright. And then once they start to click onto what's actually happening in Pulsechain, that Pulsechain is the token for the chain, but there's all this amazing stuff that's actually happening on the chain that's so unique to this particular blockchain that isn't happening on any other blockchain. That social, communal, that collective consciousness of let's utilize these tools of DeFi, let's utilize these tools of cryptocurrency to actually support the prices of our tokens and keep creating upward momentum charts, just like they do in the stock market. Print money, make it go up. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing for the last decades. So now we're figuring out we can do that with our tools as well. And I haven't seen this happening in any other blockchain besides Pulsechain. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen it at the scale of Pulsechain.
Nope, me neither, bro. I think you're 100% right. And I think it's people in denial. People don't want to lose their followings. Like, okay, if you have a big following and, you know, I notice it with the 10 people that watch. If I go in tomorrow, I found some really crazy real world asset coin that was going to be a home run, no brainer, and did a stream about it, like 6 people will watch. and it's like, it's really hard to build that following, but it's like we see the light with Pulsechain. We're screaming as loud as we can. But if other influencers say, oh, yeah, they're right over there, I see the light, half their following is gone. So they won't do that. And it's going to come to a point where I think they're going to have to make a choice where it's going to be so obvious that they're going to have to just make that transition over, and they'll just pretend like they were supporters all along.
Like they always do. That's it, man. Yeah, they'll try and save their face by kind of sort of maintaining some sort of neutrality. And then as the results keep getting bigger, then they'll be like, yeah, I was always into Pulsechain. I think that's exactly how it's going to be. So
yeah, I do like some of these narratives like that could come out of this. I mean, if Richard Hart is behind this, or comes out that he's, you know, working with the team, or he's in contact with the team, whatever it is, this is going to be so big. I mean, all of Maker there, all of Dai, especially how much he owns of the supply of that, how much Bitcoin he owns. I feel like he has such deep wallets, he can't be pushed around and manipulated like some of these other guys, where big bank take little bank. But that doesn't happen with Richard Hart when he's got the same bank account, but he's just his single self. He's like the literal anomaly of the entire space. Everyone else has a team. It's Richard Hart himself. And I think that alone, when you have a lot of egotistic males, they look at Richard and they can't admit he's done more than they have, or he's smarter than that, or whatever it is. They have to justify that they're better in their own way. It's crazy to see,
dude. Yeah, this phenomena of the human mind is something that's so it's so obvious to me, because I do a lot of meditation and a lot of self-reflection. So once you understand your own mind objectively, you can see it in everybody else. And one of the best things when Donovan Jolly first came out and was like, I realized one of the reasons why I didn't like Richard Hart was because I was jealous. I was jealous of his success. I was jealous of how much money he had, and that, you know, he was actually as good as he said he was. And I'm telling you, you've hit the nail on the head. All these other people, it's just ego, man. Who's got the biggest PP? And if yours is smaller than somebody else's, you don't want to know anything about it. And it's all just a measuring competition. And he is as good as he says he is. That's the thing. And people don't want to admit that. Like you said, he's an individual. He's not a team. And he's probably, I think I heard Crypto Heartbeat talking about, he's probably in like the top 10 most wealthiest in all of cryptocurrency. It takes a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill to get to that position. So he deserves everything that he gets, and he's an innovator. And now if we look at PDI, like the significance of what PDI means as a narrative, it's just going to keep going as a narrative. In my opinion, it's going to keep trending upwards. There's going to be pump, there's going to be sell-offs, and it's going to go down. But there's some key things. There's some core believers who bought in super early, who are very interested in seeing it continue to grow. So you've got that nucleus. You need that nucleus. And these guys, the essence and the quality of these guys is they're not in it, or from my understanding, from what I've seen and spoken to them about, they're not in it for it to get to $1 and then dump all their PDI out and then just tank the price. They're in it because they see what this means for the world and they want to actually be a part of building this system. So you have these guys with this unique mindset. And then second, you've got Richard Hart, who's potentially behind it. So as the evidence continues to grow and the price continues to grow, all these people who are doubters are going to start to come in. That's going to keep pushing the price up. And then third, it is literally going to be one of the greatest achievements in cryptocurrency, probably since Uniswap, or even really since Bitcoin, to have a fully decentralized stablecoin that is not reliant on any outside force. And this is a massive thing because that's one of the main things that they say is why it's impossible, because it needs some kind of outside money. And it's impossible, but that's the key to it, that it doesn't rely on any outside force in order to maintain its stability and in order to maintain the backing for it. That's going to be the genius behind it, that it's this completely unique, decentralized stablecoin, the first of its kind. If you look at Luna, the hype around Luna, that dream of like a decentralized stablecoin, an algorithmic stablecoin, it's really a massive dream of cryptocurrency. And if it gets achieved here on Pulsechain, then it's so good for Pulsechain. It's so good for this chain. Like, everyone's just going to be like, man, we were so wrong about Richard Hart. And he's going to be the GOAT. He's going to be the GOAT. He's already the GOAT in many people's eyes, but you won't be able to deny the evidence if PDI ends up pegging to $1.
Dude, that's funny you say that, because I had Jacob from PUSD and Algo on. They're trying with the new stable coin, and the importance, the significance of that project is it's a lot. And it's just a shame to see that people have been so burned with sacrifices and projects not doing what they were promising, that when a project comes out that actually requires a sacrifice, it requires a certain amount of capital to get it started. And to be just what you said, to be able to say we have a decentralized stablecoin on Pulsechain, that could be the biggest story in all of crypto in 2024. And to have two chances at that with PDI and with PUSD, we need that. Like, it's mind blowing to me that everybody in the community doesn't see that, and they're not supporting that stable coin, because if they don't raise enough money, they're not going to even attempt to launch it. So to see a potential Luna on our chain that was successful, an algorithmic stable coin that was holding its peg algorithmically, that would have been massive, or it will be massive if it happens with PDI, or if people step it up and they actually get enough to launch it. If PUSD could become that, we just need at least two chances of having that stable coin on Pulsechain because of the significance of it.
Absolutely. And I honestly don't know too much about that one. I think I've heard just very, very briefly about it. But I think as long as one of them makes it, that's the main thing. But I just have such strong conviction that the way that I'm seeing things move in the Atropa ecosystem, I see it as like a massive possibility. I see it as an inevitability. I don't know how it's going to maintain once, let's say, it gets to that $1. I don't know how it's going to actually maintain there. I can see how it's going to have the collateral that backs it, but I don't know how it's going to like stabilize its price at $1. But Maria has been doing everything that she's been saying she's going to do. And like people like, I mean, there's this big campaign by the Tang Gang, which has really slowed down, I've noticed, which is really good, of like fudding PDI and Maria. And it's like they need to wake up and realize that the goals of the Atropa ecosystem is very much aligned with the goals of the Tang Gang. They're going about it in slightly different ways, but what they're trying to achieve is pretty much exactly the same thing. So they really need to see the similarities, not the differences. And to see that there's this like genius dev that's behind everything also gives me like a lot of conviction, man. Like, the whole thing is moving up, and it could break its all-time high. And it's just, yeah, how can you not be excited? The more that I study it, the more I get excited by it. And I still feel like a complete noob in the whole ecosystem. I'm doing like a video every day, and there's so much to learn. It's crazy, but it's so much fun at the same time.
It is, bro. It's a lot, and yeah, I just can't imagine I can't even imagine a world right now with Richard Hart's back streaming. Like, it's been so long where he's been gone, and the community has done so much. And I think that he, besides the like little bickering and them not seeing what he was trying to do with the WBTC, the Aave, the link pairs, with creating this before everyone saw it with PDI. Like, he's 6 months, a year ahead of everyone else. So him saying, that was him, I think, trying to show the light. And when that didn't happen, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to just pour money in here and just be exit liquidity for people that are going to bash me and tell me what I'm doing is wrong here. So the community has built so much and have taken what he's given us and just expanded on it in every direction, to where, yeah, man, I almost forget what it's like having Richard streaming. We're just so used to everyone that's kind of filled a role in the community. It's good. I actually, I think the community's done a good job at looking at everything as a whole, and we just need to tweak a couple things, but I think we'll get there. And green candles certainly help that. And I noticed it massively ever since Pulsechain went above sacrifice rate. The community has gotten along much, much better.
100%. And I actually think his absence from streaming was a really, really good thing. Of course, it would have been great to hear him stream, but to see the community kind of like walk on its own 2 feet and learn how to walk on its own 2 feet without him actually saying, okay, let's do this or let's do that. I think that's a phenomenal thing, because this is a blockchain. Like, it needs to be something that develops on its own. And we have the ethoses and the principles that Richard has really taught us about cryptocurrency that's driving the development of this blockchain, which is really important. And we got some extreme talent on this chain. Like, the feedback loop between problem and solution is incredible. I don't have a lot of experience with other chains, I'm not going to lie, but when there's a problem and then the solution is like almost instantaneous, like the next day, like, oh, this is a problem with this, and then the next day there's a solution with some kind of like code upgrade in a certain particular token, or a new token, or a new, just something new, it's incredible. It's really incredible. And that consciousness of the community is like so powerful in this. And it is a shame that there is, I mean, the green candles is great. Everyone's happy when there's green candles, so everyone is like getting along better. And it's good, but also just, it's also annoying as well. It's like, can't we just get along without the green candles as well? Things will be so much better if we just like collaborate and coexist rather than just like fight and bitch and argue. But anyway, that's human mind. So
it's funny. I think, like, I've been to a bunch of the meetups, conferences, taking part in every event we possibly can. And it's funny, you never see this stuff happen in person at the events. Everybody's getting along. Everyone's having a good time. So I feel like all these arguments in Twitter spaces, everyone bashing each other, if all these people in the spaces were actually in person in Las Vegas or in a major city at a conference, I feel like all these arguments, like 5% of them would actually even happen. And that's the one thing that I see that and I say, all right, you know what? It is what it is. That's the beast of Twitter and social media. That's the downside to it. But we can all just ignore it if you want to. And that, hopefully, the people that don't want to partake, if you don't even look for it, you don't even find that drama and stuff. So hopefully, it doesn't last. People don't look back and remember any of the nonsense, and it's only the positive stuff moving forward.
Totally, man. And I completely agree. Just don't even engage with it, and just stay on the positive wavelength. That's certainly something that I try and do. And there was a period there where I was kind of like getting assaulted, not assaulted, but like on Twitter, I was getting harassed. And I kind of did my best to try and like divert it. Like some of these people, one of them in particular, very extremely intelligent human being, like I can see he's like extremely caring. He's extremely intelligent. He knows what he's talking about, but really like misjudged my character and really like came after me. And I had to like, I mean, it's hard to not be like, okay, well, up yours and like fight back. And you just kind of like take a step back and just try and keep the peace, because I'm not interested in the drama, man. Like, I've lived my whole, like you live your whole life like this, going, like in high school and protecting yourself. And I'm just not interested in that stuff anymore, man. I'm over it. Like, I just want to get along with everyone. I can't be bothered with fights and arguments. I got enough fights and arguments with myself in my own mind from time to time. I don't want it with the outside world as well. It's already annoying enough as it is in there.
Exactly, bro. Yeah. And that it's so, like, it is like you do see every comment, and it's like as much as you do ignore it, you still read it and you're like, what? Like, really? And it's like, what do you like? Where do you come up with this? Or like, what were you seeing in this video or whatever that made you draw this conclusion or even come up with this nonsense? It's like you almost just feel bad for people, but then at the same time, it's like, how many of them are real people versus bots? Because I was watching a video or stream the other day, and these guys put up, a subtitle or the title of the video, like Trump or Biden annihilates Trump, embarrasses the orange man again, or whatever it was. And then they did a stream about like nature. So in the comments, there was 7 or 8 comments about what they talked about, and 180 of them were bots talking about Trump, politics. So the AI is so crazy right now that we don't even know if we're engaging with humans or not. And that's the crazy part.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. I've noticed that as well as my Twitter starts to grow. Some of the people that I'm engaging with, like there's this one particular dude that just pops up from time to time, very like less than 100 followers. And it's like, how does this guy keep seeing my content? And always like, it's almost like he's deliberately trying to get like a negative response out of me. And I'm like, is this dude real or a bot? I don't even know. It doesn't seem real. So
it is. It's bad. It's like, even if they are bots, it's like, what person in their right mind would program like bots to attack and like be defensive and create controversy? It's just wild, man.
It's crazy, man. So looking at this here, DAI has had a really nice pullback on the dollar. And the beautiful thing
sweater,
is,
Alan.
What's that?
No, sorry, Alan. This fine sweater here is so nice. It apparently looks like a blazer. So Alan was just commenting on the good looks, but no, it's just a sweater.
Nice. Yeah, even to Pulsechain, it's still a good buy. That's the thing. To Pulsechain, you could even look at it compared to PulseX. It's probably still a good buy, and it's had a big pullback, which means it's probably going to have a pullback in the Pulsechain and the PLSX pairs as well, PulseX pairs. So it's, yeah, I don't want to tell people to like chase greens, but again, if you're looking, I'm always looking at this in the long term. So I've sort of caught myself out with the Atropa ecosystem buying kind of more top-ish kind of prices, but my vision with it is still like long term. So I mean, Maria spoke about when PDI pegs, Atropa could be $40. So if you're looking at Atropa now, $40 it's designed to outperform PDI. So everyone's really excited about PDI, and I am too. But the whole Atropa is designed to outperform it. So I think that's definitely something to pay. I mean, look at that.
Yeah. So you got to put it. Yeah, you got to look at it against Pulse. That's what a lot of people don't do. They just think they keep it against the dollar value, and you're like, oh wow, it's looking like we're near an all-time high. No, if you look at it in Pulse, you're like, damn, we still have like a 5x to go.
Exactly, and this is where it's going to be interesting to see whether it can break its all-time highs against Pulse. Pulse is still looking reasonably strong at the moment, which is good to see. But I do think it's probably going to cool off for a month or two before it starts to really go again. So, I mean, because realistically, the pump was largely due to, well, you could pretty much 100% say it was due to the OA, whatever the OA was doing with pumping the bag. So
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, January 20th, that pump started. Let's look at Pulse for a second and see when that started. So it's the 20th. So yeah, so
right.
Atropa started dipping after, or pumping after Pulse tanked. So that's interesting. So after
There you
Pulse
go.
dumped, Atropa pumped. There you go.
There you go.
The-
And that's one of the phenomena that I noticed with the ecosystem a long time ago. And yes, it's due to, I'm sure it's also due to the bonding and the inverse relationship between the two, but also because that flow of liquidity that's come into Pulsechain is flowing into Atropa. And I honestly believe that I had some people in a Discord that I'm in the other day ask me if I think if I honestly think the Atropa ecosystem can outperform Pulsechain, and I do. I think it's inevitable. It already has, and Pulsechain
Exactly, bro.
will catch up, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
Bro,
But I think the strategy of just holding onto my Pulsechain is like, it's that hex mentality of like, okay, Richard Hart got us to 10,000x. I'm just going to accumulate Pulsechain and sit on Pulsechain. I had one of my boys, Muddy, say,
Pulsechain, you're up 11%. Versus 8,600. Atropa's up 8,600% against it. So there you go.
There you go.
It's
there you go.
not even comparable. Atropa, Pulsechain can never do Atropa numbers. If it does, it'll send Atropa to the billions of X's.
Exactly. And it's not to say, oh, Atropa's better than Pulsechain. I don't see a distinction between the two. I see it as like just part of the ecosystem. I don't see like Pulsechain as this holy grail of a token that I've got to hold on to with all of my hands, and I'm going to wait for 50 years to get that 10,000x. I don't see that. It's like Pulsechain now is a token for an ecosystem. So like one of my boys, Muddy, he said with just like 1/50th of his Pulsechain, he's 3x'd his whole Pulsechain bag by putting it into like Atropa, Peter, and he was in like, I mean, he was the one that got me into it. He was in long before me, like months before me, and he was talking about it, and my mind just wasn't on it. But this is where you can get the leverage on your Pulsechain as well. That's the thing that I think people really need to switch their mind to. You know, that the lottery ticket that Somi talks about. $20, $50, $100, just see how it goes. Like, it's still so early. If we're talking about $40, and at the moment Atropa is only just like 2 cents, it's not outside of the realms of possibility to get huge multiplications on such a small amount of money. And of course, as the results start to come, they're going to see the results, and they're going to start to want to filter more of their Pulsechain. Me, at the moment, I've probably filtered a lot of my Pulsechain into it, more than I was originally anticipating. But I also don't work, so this is kind of like my ticket. My plan dictates my risk based on the kind of goals that I'm trying to achieve, and I'm seeing this as being the leverage play within Pulsechain. So I really want to go all in on it. Well, not all in, but yeah, very much all in on it. So
yeah.
I've really deep into it, man.
Dude, and that's the thing too, is that it's going to work out phenomenally, but that requires a lot of you paying attention, watching stuff, and being able to make a move if you need to. But one thing that facing reality has really hammered home was, dude, just the ratio trades. So I'm trying to accumulate more Pulse and PulseX right now. So instead of buying the lottery tickets and saying, all right, I have 25 million Pulsechain, I'm going to take 2 million and spread it around to 6 coins and keep half my bag. Well, the best thing that I've been doing is playing the Pulse to PulseX ratio. Instead of throwing it in the LP, which I did at the beginning, I pulled it after like 4 or 5 months and started just playing the ratios of Pulse to PulseX. And it keeps moving from 4 to 2. You know, so right now I swapped a majority of my Pulsechain to PulseX 3 weeks ago. You know, it was somewhere, it was like 3.79 was the ratio. And now it went all the way up to almost 2.5. So swapping 25 million Pulsechain got me almost 100 million PulseX. And now once it pushes up closer to 2 to 1, I'll swap back that 100 million Pulse X at a 2-to-1 ratio. I'll get 50 million Pulsechain. Now I just doubled my bag just moving from Pulse to Pulse X. And if you just play that ratio, so right now it's the time to start moving back to Pulsechain, I think. I don't think that, Pulse X would have had to make a higher high here. And we didn't. We made a lower high right here. So I think we're going to come and push back down to like 3.3, 3.5-ish. So I've got about 25% left of it still in Pulse X. I've swapped the majority of it back into Pulse, but it's an easy way to just do it. And I didn't understand it at first. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to just play the altcoins link and these other ones, but you don't even need to. Once you find that ratio, you find the channel, it stays in between like 2.2 and 3.8. And every couple months, you just move it back and forth. And if you do take a little hit, whatever, it's an impermanent loss tax for playing the ratio game. You just make something up, but it's a great way to increase your bet. And even the hexes too, eHEX and regular hex here. You can kind of look at those and see the same thing. You can kind of move back and forth and just increase your bags. And it sounds crazy, but it really is easy to do once you understand that.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome. And I completely agree. Once I started to, I'm sure just like you, I've watched a ton of Somi videos, and my mindset towards this ecosystem changed of like just holding Pulsechain and just holding Pulse X to like ratios is going to be the key. I don't think Pulsechain is going to do a 10,000x within this cycle. If it's ever going to do it, it's going to take more than one cycle. And so, okay, how can I actually start to achieve those numbers? It's through these ratios. You get a 2x here in this, and you've just doubled your bag. So then really you only need another 2x, and then another 2x, and then a 10x, or whatever the maths is. And that's how you get your 10,000x. Like, it's not outside of the realms of possibilities to get a 10,000x, but you have to actually like make the moves. But some people can, some people can't. And I'm certainly I'm no expert or anything like that with trading. But one thing that I'm definitely trying to do, for example, with Atropa, is leverage my position in Pulsechain. But then also I'm basically then, so there'll be like a nice big move. I can take out my original Pulsechain, and then I've got a piece of the Atropa ecosystem, and just keep growing all these different pieces in the Atropa ecosystem. And eventually, with the pulse that I'm putting into it and taking out, I'm just cycling that Pulsechain through it, and I'm growing my holdings in the Atropa ecosystem. And then they move at different rates and against different pairs, and it's a whole ecosystem, man. It's like, it's exciting, and that's what I'm really interested in, and providing liquidity and learning different things about liquidity pools and what works and what doesn't. For example, you can hear it, people talk about it, until I actually see it live and like, that's what they meant. So for example, I'd hear like low liquidity and high volume is a really good pair to go into. And okay, I understand that in terms of what they'd written, but then actually seeing it. So even if you go to on PulseX, I found it yesterday. One of the guys, Stu in Sunny's Pub, pointed this out. I think it was Stu. And you see the APRs that you're getting on the liquidity pools. And I was like, there was some up there with like over 300% APR in the last 7 days. I was like, how is this possible? I thought it was only like 0.022% that you're getting with APR. But when the liquidity is so low and the volume through those pairs is so high, because you have to trade such small amounts, it's creating more volume that way, for one, but also each time. So when you do like a Pulse X to Pulse swap, it's usually like equal value to equal value. But when the liquidity is so low, it's inevitable that there's going to be like a gap. There's going to be slippage in the price. And then that slippage is basically going to the liquidity providers. And then the bots that are all the bots that are actually at work in the Pulsechain ecosystem are also creating volume and trying to close the gaps there, which you're also getting volume from as a liquidity provider. So to see that there are potentials for like 300% APR on liquidity pools. I think I even saw one with 600% yesterday. So, but I've had to like actually do it to learn it and continue to monitor it over months and months and months. But these are the opportunities. I mean, this is DeFi. So
Yeah, that's cool, bro. And that just shows how many different ways are out there, different strategies, and you can always do the like shoulda, woulda, coulda. You know, oh, if I didn't do the P die and Atropa and I just played the ratio game, or if I had just bought and staked Hex and sold that top and put it into incentive token, then sacrificed it for the wallet, I would have 100x'd or whatever it is. You're always gonna do that to yourself. You're never going to just hit everything perfectly, and it's hard to hit the sell button. It really is, but you got to do it, and you're in this to make money, to change your life, to for a better future, and just to watch everything evaporate. That's the worst thing that can happen, and you're better off, I think, saying, you know what, I took profits a little bit early, and you know what, I only kept 30% of my bag for the real bull run, but I was able to do some stuff and help myself out versus, I held the whole way through, cashed out nothing. Now I'm broke and suicidal. It's like, you don't want that.
Totally. And it all has to be dependent on what your goals are, what your life situation is, and your own abilities and your skills. So it's not just like one size fits all. There's so many different approaches, and you just got to take one that's suited to your temperament and to your own mindset. So I think that's one of the most important things about trading or investing actually is really getting something that suits your mind. Like if you're someone that can watch these small time frames and scalp, and you love doing that, and you're like obsessed with watching charts, and you have that skill, go ahead and do it. But not everybody's going to do it. I, for one, am not the type of person who can sit there on the low time frames and watch it and take these little trades. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun to me to do that. It's fun when it's like you might fluke it and get this huge run, but then when it goes against you, like my being just like, it doesn't like it, because there's too much at stake for me because of my life situation. I've only got this amount of capital because I'm a full-time volunteer, so I don't really have fresh capital coming in. So I really don't want to mess up my bags, but I want to take like the appropriate risk according to what my mind is. But I mean, just some of these little safe plays, like creating liquidity on this. I experimented with this, and it's cool to see after like 6 months, hey, like where I've basically created a liquidity pool at these prices, and it's come back to this, and it's cool to see no impermanent loss, and both PLSX and PLS are up like 10% in the 6 months of just sitting there. It was a very small pool, but it's like, this is the magic of just letting the tokens do their thing, and letting the blockchain do its thing, and then you can just win off it that way. It's not, you don't just have to go for those home run wins. That was another thing that I was listening to, Too Spooky and Lit. My Life is Awesome. I'm halfway through the stream. Awesome stream. And Too Spooky was talking about having this real estate investor's mindset towards your cryptocurrency, rather than like the liquidity extraction mindset. The real estate investment is, I'm just going to keep growing it, and I'm going to live off that yield. And that's what we can do with cryptocurrency as well. But that all the tools are there, and it's happening on Pulsechain. It's happening with the Atropa ecosystem. It's happening here if you provide the liquidity and you do the right kinds of pools. But it's still like something that's quite new, I suppose, with cryptocurrency thinking, because we're so used to just these 10,000, these multi-thousand X gains, and that's what we all want, that sort of euphoric rush. But you can do it with delayed gratification, which is everything that Richard teaches. You can do it without being greedy. So it just takes a lot more patience. And
well, I heard somebody today say that, it might not be a bad idea just cashing out of crypto completely and just buying some real estate and just living life without crypto. And it's like that is the most short-sighted thinking, because where this is all going, like there's going to be no physical banks in the future, really, where you're not going to walk in. So all loans, all lending is all going to be decentralized. If I want to get a loan for something, I'm going to be coming to you or other people who have stable coins or Bitcoin or whatever that is as collateral. And that's going to be on different chains. So if I have, $20,000 in Pulsechain in profits, I can go to a lending platform on there, put up my collateral, and then whenever someone needs a loan, I'll put up, I'm willing to take, 6% for 3 years or whatever. These are my terms and conditions. Here's the money. If you find someone that needs it and will do that, done. It'll create a smart contract. Boom. I now instantly loan someone out money across the world for 6%, and the smart contract is there. So selling out of your crypto right now, we're going to be our own banks in the near future. And our collateral is going to be our cryptos and our coins. So why the hell would you sell out of all of your potential lending power in the future? It's not smart thinking.
Totally agree, man. That was the first thing which was like the big mind explosion with what cryptocurrency actually meant. I was always against, probably maybe not in a, well, obviously in a very negative way, really against banks and the whole financial system. And how can we live in a world like this where people are getting so screwed over, and then there's these people at the top of the food chain that they're just going to forever win based on the way the system is set up, and everybody just keeps getting further and further away. That gap gets wider and wider. And how can that be a positive world to live in? It's crazy. And then seeing, this is what cryptocurrency can do. It makes banks irrelevant. Cryptocurrency makes banks irrelevant, and it makes you your own bank. And then, decentralized finance. It just blew my mind open about the possibilities. And yeah, that's going to be the future. And I also, in the bear market, I was like, man, yeah, I think I'm going to take out a lot of my crypto and put it into real world assets. But your mind's going to change in the bull market when you start to see those kinds of gains. You're going to be like, nah, that's not the right idea. But having said that, I probably will get to a point where I'm going to start to want to like spread it out, just spread it out to create a portfolio that can kind of sustain itself in or out of a bear market. Just under any conditions, it should be able to sustain itself. So I definitely do want to scale out into other things as well. But definitely, yeah, I think you'd be crazy to want to take it all out of cryptocurrency. Like anyone who's deeply into it knows that it's a future. Everyone who isn't is like it's a Ponzi and it's going to go to zero soon. And so who do you listen to? Do you listen to the people that have actually done the research and they know what they're talking about? Or do you listen to the people who haven't done the research and just hear like those little news bites from mainstream media who have their vested interests in maintaining the same structure of society that we've had for the last X amount of years with the banking system? Who are you going to listen to? You're going to listen to the people actually doing the research and in the system rather than the ones that are in the banking system. It's kind of obvious to me. So
yeah, bro. And that with banking, they're going like technology, the blockchain's replacing banks, and AI is going to replace, we were talking about it earlier, I think attorneys. You don't need attorneys anymore when you have AI in your pocket. You don't need accountants anymore. They're all gone. Software, doctors, game developers, they're all pretty much gone now. So you just literally took, I don't know, 25, 30% of the middle to upper class in the world and made them jobless now. And what better time to come in with CBDCs at a time where people in the middle upper class are losing their jobs at unprecedented, unseen rates, to give some kind of programmable money that you can only spend on your bugs, you can only spend here and there, but it's only to people that are in debt, that are going to be desperate for that. If you can figure out a way to get off of the system, get out of debt, become more self-reliant, that dystopic world that we fear, it won't even apply to us. If we have the ability to build Texaco and all have land, or somebody can afford 1,000 acres and someone can afford to give 5 acres to 20 different people that deserve it. That's how you grow a community and grow the future, versus going to the bank when you make 50 grand a year and buying a house that's worth $500,000 because you got fake money and this debt on it. That's not sustainable, clearly. And getting out of debt, and I think that is going to be where they usher in the CBDCs now. I was thinking it was going to be with like Medicaid or Medicare or like Section 8 for housing, stimulus like that. But I don't think so, bro. I really think they're going to hammer it and offer it to people that lose their jobs abruptly and are like, oh my God, I'm what do I do? Oh, here you go. Here's your CBDC. Here, take the ticket. Go get your go eat your bugs. Go see your doctor over there. And they're now it's in mainstream. And people don't even know what the ticket they just took.
Yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting future in that regard, and it can go, well, in my opinion, it's going to go two ways, but there's going to be a right path and there's going to be a wrong path. And so I personally think that we're on the right path, and I think if we just keep learning and developing and getting a deeper understanding, we can stay ahead of it, and we can really capitalize on it. And what I really love about your mindset is, I don't think you're into like to capitalize on it to, buy Lamborghinis and mansions. I heard you say that they're of no interest to you. Like people like us really want to capitalize on it so we can build a better world, a different world, like a utopia. We can actually do that, but you actually need capital. You need economic energy to do that. That's the thing, and that's one of the most powerful things that cryptocurrency allows, in my opinion. So, when I look at everything that's happening on Pulsechain, it can just be like an infinite supply of money, a potentially infinite supply of money. I don't need to get that 10,000x and then take it all out and put it all into the bank. I can just leave it all on there and have this huge bag that I'm generating interest on, that I can just keep taking bits and pieces out of and doing the things in the world that I need to do. I don't need to destroy the price. I don't need to destroy my bag. I can just keep growing my position and doing the things that I want to do in the world. Because I'm the same as you. I got big visions. So I'm talking like Australia-wide visions. I'm like so frustrated with the way things are that I'm like, you know what? I'll just do it myself. And the way that I do that is like, okay, I've got this 20, 30-year plan. Well, it's really a lifetime plan. And this is only just step one. And I'll do it myself, and with the help of anyone with the help of anyone else who sees that it is going to be a better future. Because I'm sick of the way that things are, and instead of complaining, I'd rather just take the action on it. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing here with crypto. So,
dude, exactly, bro. And like it's like mental health will be more exact. And like if like in 5 years, this all happens and we have land, we have farms, we all live together. Like, we're not going to be staring at screens, looking at candles and charts, watching our fake money go up and down, panicking about stuff that's irrelevant. Like, we do this stuff to ourselves because we're so far gone from like being connected with nature. And I think that's obviously where it comes from. Like, if you're doing productive stuff, if you're not in debt, you're doing something you enjoy, for people you like and care about, like that, the mental health stuff doesn't exist. Like it's brought on in a world of like boredom, excess, everything, materialism. Like it just doesn't exist. And when you wake up every day and you have your own farm, you grow your own food, you do stuff yourself, you do stuff for other people. Like it just doesn't happen. You don't have time for that stuff. Like you're constantly doing stuff to help people out or stuff because it feels good or it's the right thing to do. And when you're doing that, I don't know, man. I don't feel like depression would be a thing.
I think you're definitely right to a huge degree. I think this is one of the reasons why I'm very big on meditation, because I see it as like a trend that's going to be very necessary in the future. And especially as people start to lose their sense of purpose as well. Like a lot of people define their purpose based on their job. And so when the job market starts to become depleted because we don't need those jobs, what are people, why am I even living? Yes, there's going to be people whose mind is like clean enough to go, all right, well, cool, I'm just going to go out in nature and do the things that you're talking about. And there's going to be people like that who are going to be able to live peacefully. But there's also going to be, in my opinion, a huge percentage of the population that's really going to be so lost and wondering what even is the meaning of life. And this is where, for me, meditation really ties into it. You will find the meaning to your life when you clear away what's in your mind, all the stuff that's been programmed into there from your life. Once you clear all that away, you're already perfect. You're the universe. You're the eternally living universe. Like there's nothing more phenomenal than that. But we actually have to know that in our heart, not just with our mind, like, oh, okay, yep, quantum mechanics and everything is just one and everything is just energy, but actually know it in your heart. There's a big difference between here and here, and making that connection between the two is what, in my opinion, what meditation is all about. Why I'm like so passionate about it. Especially, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I created my channel. Cryptocurrency, again, in the future, people are going to have all this money, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be having tons of money and buying all the things that they ever dreamed of, and then realizing, hang on a minute, this car gives me no happiness. This mansion gives me no lasting happiness. It's not here. I thought it was going to be here. This is what I've been told. This is what society taught me, but it's actually not here. And they'll get depressed. Like, what's the meaning of life? I have all the things. Like, so many people get to that point. And Alexander the Great, my favorite conqueror, because he's from Macedonia, my heritage, even though Greeks will debate that. And he had everything. He was the first human being on the planet to conquer the known world. And when he died at 33, he said, bury my body with my hands out of my casket, so people know the man who won the world died empty-handed. So he's telling us that it's not about the material things. He had everything, but it meant nothing in the end. It meant nothing. It all returns to dust. So I'm very big on it. And I think it's going to be like, again, this is part of my 20-year plan. Like, I'm here because I want to help people with their mind. And cryptocurrency, there's going to be a lot of mental health with all the kind of money that people have, and realizing, like, what was even the point of any of this? I can't do anything with this stuff. It's like, yeah, it's going to be about giving and helping the world more than anything. So
yeah, dude, I think it really does. It's like it's all talk right now, but actually doing it. And I think if we were able to set that example and show people that, look, living like we're in 1850, not 2050, is actually way more sane. It's way more healthy. You're way more grounded to reality. And I think it'll be very contagious to see. And I'm excited to do it, man. And I think Texaco is going to need a meditation guide, a spiritual leader. So there definitely will be a spot for you in Texaco when the time is right.
Oh man, I'm keen. I'm super keen on Texaco. So, Adam, look, I've got to go. I'm going to round this up because I've got to go, and I've actually got to go run a meditation class now in 10 minutes. So I've got to set everything up. But again, man, it doesn't feel like there was enough time, to be honest. Always enjoy our chats. Another really good chat. I hope people got some value out of it and got some understanding. We just covered a few things. We probably didn't deep dive into PDI or anything like that, but I've got plenty of videos on my YouTube channel talking about PDI and the evidence that 99 Capital was basically presenting. So if you want to go check out some of that stuff, please do. I'm really enjoying covering that content, and I really do believe like that whole ecosystem, the Atropa ecosystem, is going to be something that's huge within Pulsechain. It's so big that it's pretty much my primary focus at the moment. And yes, there's some things that are like really high, but there's also things which are so low. There's something that did like a 20x last night. The liquidity is so low, did a 20x overnight. There's still so many opportunities and so many tokens, but you also can get burned. So be careful. And do your research and really just have the mindset of, I want to be a part of this ecosystem and help this ecosystem grow. And I think you'll naturally do well. Just naturally, the things that need to gravitate into your life will. But if you have the mindset of like, I'm just here to be greedy and take everything, you're going to get burnt. You're going to get burnt. So you need that right kind of mindset. So that's what I want to leave it on. And as always, love to see you, Adam. We'll do it again, of course. Like, we didn't even get a chance to talk about Bitmobic. There's awesome stuff happening there as well. So, yeah, we'll do it again in the very near future, man.
Definitely, bro. Appreciate you coming on. If anyone here that isn't following Steven, I got his Twitter and his YouTube channel pinned down below. So definitely follow that. If you're not, his videos are really good. He's been definitely putting a lot of work into them, and the quality of them, it reflects that. So appreciate you coming on here, bro. Get to your meditation class, and we'll talk soon.
Cheers, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and see you later, everybody. Take care.
All right, buddy. See you later. All right, guys. That's it. That wraps it up for tonight. I didn't even realize it was almost 9 o'clock here, Eastern Standard. I feel bad keeping him for when he's got other stuff to do. But when you have these good conversations with good people, you get lost in time and you go down these good rabbit holes and have good conversations. So appreciate all you guys that were here. I'll be back at 11:30 with a solo stream tonight. Otherwise, Lindsay will be streaming with the Verse tomorrow night about women in crypto and how we can get more women in the HEX Pulse ecosystem. Peace, guys.